There aren't many luxury SUVs that had as successful a run as the Lexus RX. 24 years of uninterrupted sales dominance, and that's in part because the RX is the OG of the group, but also because Lexus knows not to fix what isn't broken. So while the 2023 RX is indeed all new from the ground up, it doesn't stray far from the same basic formula. On the other hand, the GV80 marked the debut of Genesis's future style and direction, giving the brand its most potent identity yet. While it's not quite as zesty as some of its competitors, there is no denying that the 2023 Genesis GV80 is an exceptional luxury SUV in many other respects. Which raises the question, can the GV80 be the long-standing champion Lexus? Well, in this video we will compare both cars' design inside and out, pricing, and how they drive. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. The 2023 Lexus RX has been fully redesigned, aiming to bring drivers the same sense of luxury and comfort that defined its predecessor. For one, it's a better-looking vehicle than the one it replaces, applying updated Lexus style and cues more cohesively to a body that looks like it was meant for them from the beginning. The most noticeable change in the SUV's styling is the spindle grille. This design element has always been polarizing, particularly the bulging transition from the more upright lower section of the grille to the hood, which can seem a bit awkward. The silhouette is even less SUV-like now. Although the various models' ground clearances are all over 8 inches and the overall height's only 0.4 inches lower than before, the new RX sure looks lower than the old one in person and just low in general for an SUV. A massive LED light bar lines the rear end with a new Lexus wordmark stretched across the trunk lid, and the lower portion of the bumper now features a smoother wave-like design that blends polished metal and plastic into one cohesive look. The Genesis design team churns out one stunning product after another. The signature quad-line headlights use slightly softer shapes, making it stand in contrast to the RX's sharp ones. The side profile features a shoulder line that extends from the hood cut to the taillights, and the fillet of chrome breaks up the lower bodywork. The tailgate is clean with sharp lines and uses a gentle angle for the rear glass, splitting the difference between the traditional upright competition and Lexus's almost coupe-like appearance. 2 wide exhaust tips poke out of the rear bumper, and a huge set of 22-inch wheels round out what is a handsome, distinctive design. Overall, both SUVs feature an incredibly good-looking exterior that exudes luxury and rivals, if not beats that of their German counterparts. But if I had to choose, the Lexus is better looking with its aggressive and futuristic look. Jumping inside the RX, the interior is eons better than it was. The dashboard adopts a more distinct 2-tier design. The resulting recess houses the available ambient lighting. A cleaner console design with a smaller shifter and no more trackpad makes things feel less cluttered, while ditching most of the ancient buttons for a larger touchscreen with fewer knobs. There is lots of leather, real aluminum around the vents and steering wheel, and even suede-like texture on the door panels in the same shade as the seats. As for infotainment, sitting in the middle of the dash is a large touchscreen running the latest Lexus interface system. Standard on the base and premium trim is a 9.8-inch screen, but the rest of the trims run on a massive 14-inch display. Rotary dials on either side handle climate duties, with a smaller dial below the screen for volume. The interface itself is easy to use, with a simple main menu operating much like a modern smartphone. Both screens offer wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As for Genesis, the GV80 interior is a classy joint, all soft-touch materials and clean, flowing lines. A wide, mostly unadorned dashboard houses an attractively placed 14.5-inch display right on top. The higher center console and well-placed door panel armrests create a cozy front row with abundant accent lighting, creating 2 distinctive spaces for driver and passenger. A thin stripe of metallic trim hides the center and passenger side climate control vents, under which lies a sloping HVAC panel that flows into the center console. As for infotainment, you will be happy to know that the huge landscape-style 14.5-inch infotainment screen is standard on all trims. The latest user interface is easy to understand, though the touchscreen might be hard to reach for some. Thankfully, there is a rotary dial in the center console to easily access the menus. It's now a shorter raised cylinder of a dial to make using it easier on the move. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard. As for passenger and cargo space, Lexus makes some great seats and the RX is no exception. These handsome leather bucket seats fit the driver and front passengers like a glove, with excellent power adjustability and ample head and legroom. Rear seat passengers enjoy slightly increased legroom at 37.4 inches, and a pair of rear passengers will have plenty of space despite a tall driver up front. Depending on trim, heated and ventilated seats are available in both rows. Cargo space is average for the class, with 29.6 cubes with the rear seats up. Fold them down and you get 46.2 cubic feet. The Genesis, on the other hand, is just as comfortable with nice cushy seats, and thanks to a long 116.3-inch wheelbase, there is more than enough room for both driver and front passenger. The second row slides and reclines to a surprising 22 degrees, the most in the class, and offers some of the best head and legroom figures, beating out the Lexus by almost an inch in both. The third row, available on a single 3.5T trim in the US, is tolerable for adults, but they won't want to be back there for a long trip. Behind the third row, you've got just 11.6 cubic feet to play with. Fold both rows down and it offers a cavernous 84 cubes. That's more than the RX and any of the Germans, and just slightly behind the Volvo XC90. When it comes to pricing, the base RX Hybrid starts at a reasonable $50,150 including destination. Premium goes for $52,150, and the luxury trim costs $58,150. And if you want the top F-Sport performance, it goes for $62,750. If you want niceties like semi-aniline leather, bigger wheels, and a head-up display, then the luxury trim is the way to go. But as still the only hybrid in the entire class, the Lexus RX represents great value even in base form. It's the most efficient vehicle in the segment by a long shot, and still comes with all the luxury and high-tech you expect from a luxury SUV of this caliber. As for Genesis, the company has not forgotten how to offer its customers a good value. The base standard model starts at $55,800 with the 2.5-liter engine, advanced to $62,300, and the top prestige trim goes for $67,550. If you want the 3.5-liter V6 engine, you add $7,000 to any of these trim levels. The 2023 Genesis GV80 offers all the panache of its competitors, but it still hasn't lost the value that made the brand famous. The 2023 RX is brand new from the ground up, adapting the same TNGA platform variant as every front-wheel drive Toyota and Lexus, which means that the RX shares its mechanical DNA with the RAV4 and Sienna. BMW shoppers may snicker at that, but ultimately, the RX enjoys the same improvements in way of sharper response to inputs, greater composure on uneven pavement, and provides a driving position that's more sitting in than sitting upon. The RX 350h also now boasts a quieter and more refined iteration of Toyota's familiar hybrid powertrain setup. It includes a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated inline-4, two motors up front that help power the wheels and vehicle accessories, and a third motor at the rear axle to create all-wheel drive by kicking in when front-wheel drive slippage is detected. Another upside is exceptional fuel economy for a mid-size SUV, 36 mpg combined, or 12 mpg better than the new 2.4-liter 275 horsepower turbocharged inline-4 found in the RX 350. One downside, however, is pokey acceleration. The 0-60 time is officially 7.4 seconds, and it feels even slower when motoring onto the highway due to the gravelly naturally aspirated engine and rodent ECVT. Basically, it's what you'd expect from a hybrid. On the other hand, the GV80's powertrain is masterfully executed and refined to the point of being unexciting. Base versions come with a turbocharged 2.5-liter inline-4 making 300 horsepower, which should be enough for most use cases. The other option is a 375 horsepower 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 that is standard in the top two trims, Advanced Plus and Prestige. Both engines pair with an 8-speed automatic transmission. With the V6, 0-60 happens in a sprightly 5.3 seconds. Competitors sell more powerful engine options above their turbo 6-cylinder models, but Genesis doesn't offer that, at least not yet. Still, the V6 provides more than enough juice for anything a daily commute will throw your way, and it's possible that you don't need your cushy crossover to have the ability to throw you into the seatback. The ride quality over most surfaces is similar to that of the RX, smothering many imperfections with no complaint. However, introduce the GV80 to a corner and it comes undone ever so slightly. There is one hallmark, however, of luxury that's perhaps more important to customers than excessive thrust: removing the noise of the outside world. That the GV80 has in spades. It offers sound levels at 70 miles per hour that are closer to a Mercedes Maybach. the luxury car that many sedans want to be when they grow up. So, which one should you get? Well, the GV80 had me the moment I saw the interior. Its beautiful execution is indisputable evidence that Genesis understands the secret to luxury, something that several aspiring premium car brands have yet to learn. We humans are exceptionally talented at picking up visual detail, and the GV80 is rife with it. Delicate satin metal highlights, carefully stitched leather on the dash, seats and doors, knurled knobs and switches, tight, precise assembly. It all makes the GV80 feel much more expensive than it is. You know which other luxury brand got its start doing things like this? Lexus. And this time, the student just beat its master.